Hi guys, this is Tina back in for another story. I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you again to all my new subscribers. That is so freaking cool. And if you decided to click on this video today, I mean, that's awesome as well. Likes, views, all are welcome. So I do appreciate anyone that just stops by and just wants to hear the story. Most of the stories that I try to tell are stories that, maybe are not mainstream because, or maybe people that haven't gotten the attention that they deserved or needed. But this particular story was recommended to me by a subscriber, and this person asked me to, cover the story. So I wanted to. After reading it, I was like, wow, now I understand why, and I'm wondering why it didn't get as much publicity as it did. So the person that I want to talk about today mostly is the victim, which is Laura Jean Ackerson. Yeah, the family is from North Carolina. The perpetrators of her were also from North Carolina. So this is a really gruesome story. So if you're sensitive to certain content, then it's probably better that you don't watch this. It's pretty bad. So in any event, I just wanted to, make sure that Laura, is heard here because this is so crazy. So Laura met Grant Hayes in 2007 and they got engaged and they ended up living together and having two children. Okay, so they had two children, but they ended up breaking up 3 years later. So they got engaged, but they never got married. Later on, Grant goes on to meet someone named Amanda Hayes. Okay, now at this time, there is a custody battle going on between Laura and Grant. Okay, so Grant is given full primary custody, and Laura is given only weekends. Okay, so and this is what I read in some of the documents is that she wasn't established enough yet. Apparently, she didn't have her like all her stuff in order, and so she had to, and she was working hard towards getting her kids back. That's actually in the information that she was working towards getting her kids back full time. So Grant Hayes ends up meeting a woman named Amanda Hayes, and those two end up getting married. They get married, and well, obviously, because Amanda's last name is Hayes, right? So they're married, and they end up having a baby. So as I said, in the meantime of while all this is going on, there's still a battle for the two other children from Laura Ackerson, over custody. So to Laura during the week, which is off because she normally would only pick the children up on the weekends. So sends her an email during the week to go ahead and come pick up the kids for like an early week visit. So the last time Laura is seen by one of her friends and or coworkers or business partner. It says something about like they had some business that they had to do later on that night, and then she was supposed to make a call. So Laura was supposed to call her friend back. Anyway, so the last person to see her is her friend, and her friend. She tells her friend that she's on her way over to go and pick up her sons. And then the last text messages says that, and it shows to Grant Hayes that she's on her way and she'll be there after traffic, and that she'll call him when she gets into the area. Okay, so Laura Ackerson's never seen again. Well, unfortunately, not in one piece anyway. So there's some discrepancy of how Laura ended up this way, or who actually did the murdering of Laura. But prior to all of this, it seems as though Grant had been making his plans. There's video surveillance of Grant actually purchasing tarp, purchasing a saw, purchasing like I think it's called it's some type of acid, and then all these like cleaning supplies and things like that to obviously to try to get rid of something, right? So after Laura Ackerson's friend, reports her missing, the police then do, go to check on her, and they go to her apartment and they see in her apartment that there are signs of like cleaning products, and something's wrong with the carpet, like things were just out of order. So then they realized that her last communication was with Grant Hayes. Okay. So they later then find out that Grant Hayes and Amanda Hayes took a trip to Texas. So this is where things get, really bad. I mean, things get even worse. I mean, before they go to Texas, things are bad, but it gets worse when they go to Texas. So before they go to Texas, what supposedly is what was attempting to be done is they murdered her, or one of them murdered her, because they both turned on each other, so that we don't really know the truth of who actually did the murdering or the dismemberment of Laura. So what they try to do was burn her with acid and try to make the body disintegrate in the acid, and obviously that didn't work. So later, okay, at first when I heard the story, I was empathetic towards Amanda Hayes, but I no longer feel that way after reading more evidence about this. So Amanda Hayes was said that she was coerced into doing this because she was afraid of Grant Hayes, okay? But it shows that the uric acid was then used, and then it was like tossed in coolers. And Laura, I'm sorry, not Laura. None of the bad stuff has to do with Laura. Laura was an angel. So, I mean, maybe she had her problems, but she didn't deserve this. Amanda, apparently, she made some prearrangements for the kids, the kids that were, in question here for custody and the baby, for someone to take them to like a fun center for the day or whatever. So that shows that it seems to me that shows that Amanda was involved in this. So I don't feel empathy. At first I did. I thought she was being threatened into this, but I mean, because sometimes that does happen. But I don't think that's the case here. But I wasn't there. Obviously, the jury has already made their decisions, and their decisions, are, well, I wish they would have been more harsh, to be honest. But so they go. There's a lady named Miss Barry, and in the court documents, I only see her as Miss Barry. I think she's a friend of Amanda's. I'm not sure if she's related. So Miss Barry lives in Texas. Now, Grant Hayes and Amanda Hayes lived in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Laura Ackerson lived in Kinston, North Carolina, something like that. And so anyway, what they end up doing is, so since the acid, I guess they tried to, get rid of, after they killed her, they dismembered her, and then they used the acid. Obviously, the acid didn't work. Grant went out and rented a U-Haul, and then they went and bought coolers. So they bought the coolers, and then they put the body parts in the coolers and put them in the U-Haul and drove to Miss Barry's house in Texas. So Miss Barry does testify to this in court. Okay, so this is a part where I say there's too much against Amanda here to even empathize with her, because Amanda takes part in this. According to Miss Barry, Amanda and Grant go out on the boat, and they take something with them on the boat. It is said that there's some footage out there somewhere that actually shows Amanda participating in getting rid of the body into the what's called Oyster Lake. It's near the property or on the property of Miss Barry. So there were apparently supposed to be alligators in that particular pond or lake. I wouldn't say pond, more like a lake. And they were hoping that they were going to feed the remains of Laura to the alligators. Like, this is how sick and disgusting these people are. Like, so, all this obviously is disgusting and horrible. But what's worse is that, so Amanda Hayes is sentenced to 13 to 16 years, but then ends up getting 20 more years, not concurrent, but consecutive on top of that, for like the dismemberment of the body, or something to do with the body, desecration of the body, or something to that effect. So this happened in 2011, so July of 2011. And so if you think about it, if Amanda only got 13 to 15 years, she could have already been out by now, but luckily there was the other 20 years tacked on to her sentence. Grant Hayes was convicted of first-degree murder, but sentenced to life in prison. He has appealed a couple of times, but his appeals have been denied, rightfully so. I'm not sure. To me, I feel like this warrants a death penalty. It might be a state reason. I'm not sure. What also interests me too here is that in order for them to take Laura's body over to Texas, they have to cross a straight line, I'm sorry, a state line. So, in America, when you're, committing a felony or something, or like a kidnapping or something like that, once you cross the state line, it becomes a federal crime. So I'm just interested because the correction facility that Grant Hayes is in is not a federal prison from what I see. It's just a prison. I mean, I know she has children out there, and I'm sure this is awful. This is awful for all the kids involved here, the family, whomever was involved. Laura's family. Oh my gosh, like, oh my, can you imagine if you were to hear about this happening to a member of your family? That might make you want to go out and be on this true crime story. I don't mean that to be funny, but those are not those are things that are just almost impossible to even consider, especially if someone that you would know and love. So in any event, they are both still in prison. I'm not sure about the federal charges. I'm going to look a little bit more into this case. I just wanted to make sure that I covered Laura Ackerson, Laura Jean Ackerson. This was referred to me by one of my subscribers. And I really do appreciate the fact that it was sent to me because this girl's story needs to be heard. I wish, that she could be heard everywhere. This is awful. This girl was trying to get her life back together. She was so pretty. She had her pretty little babies, and she was just moving on with her life and trying to better herself. And she gets, duped into this, and by maybe trusting her ex when she shouldn't. And obviously, it's possible that the new girlfriend, was jealous. I'm not sure. I really don't know. They don't say too much about that, but Laura Jean Ackerson was a very beautiful girl. And the Amanda Hayes, I mean, she's not, awful, or she's pretty, but she's not as pretty as Laura was. So I'm not sure if there was jealousy going on there or what was going on there, if it was just the child custody issue. I mean, I don't see, I know that Laura was going to try to get full custody or probably try to get more custody than she had. And this might be the reason why Grant and Amanda reacted the way they did. Grant probably did it for selfish reasons because he wanted his children to himself. Laura also, I'm sorry, not Laura, excuse me. Amanda did this obviously for other reasons. I don't buy that she was afraid of him. I know that there's a lot of stories about women that are afraid, and so they go ahead and commit the crime because they're worried that the boyfriend might hurt them. That is true in a lot of cases, but there's too much evidence out there that shows Amanda's participation in it. And the callous ways that she makes arrangements, like the phone calls that she makes to people and things like that, about where she's going to be and that she's going to visit someone in Texas. Like it just has guilt written all over it. And I wish that, well, again, I always come back to the death penalty, but this seems like a case that would warrant that, especially like, trying to burn the body and then trying to feed it to alligators. Like, what is wrong with these people? Just crazy. Anyway, you guys, I really do appreciate if you spent any of your time with me today. Like, this is a really crazy story, I know, but hopefully her story is heard, and that people will, just hear Laura Ackerson. She was 27 years old. She was a young girl. She had her whole life ahead of her, and you know she was getting everything together, and it's taken from her by these callous people. It's just horrible. So anyway, you can follow me on Facebook if you'd like. I'm at Tina Torbo. You can if you, I mean, I haven't done anything really on Facebook yet. This is all new to me, all this YouTube stuff. It's been about a little over 4 months now, but I do enjoy, you know, having conversations with the subscribers and things like that. So please feel free to comment down below. I'll leave the information to the case, and I'll also research this some more. Okay. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.